Dang.
Welcome everyone to Titan Esports. It's Divinity League. The graphic may be a little bit off, but that's all good. We are on week number 7, which is the last week of the regular season, which means that after this week, we'll have our top 8 locked in for the playoffs. I'm Caleb Peng. I'm joined with Anti. How are you doing today?
I am doing quite well, Caleb. I mean, honestly, I'm super excited to see how this one goes because as we've seen, Jolly Rogers, Queen Anne's, and Monkey Safari are both standing right at the tippy top of Group B's standings. This one really will decide which one ends up being number 1 seed overall. Monkey Safari still have not dropped a single series. Jolly Rogers, Queen Anne's still 1 series loss away from them in that position there. So this isn't going to decide who goes to playoffs, but it could be a very big decider for seeds for playoff contention. So we're going to be really in for a big treat here, right?
Definitely. And so it's going to be exciting to see how it goes too. And for those that haven't tuned in to Titan Esports broadcast before, this is fearless format as well. So any champions that are used in any of the games cannot be used in future games. And it seems like the pro scene is keeping that along too. So it's really great to see that champion diversity as well. Because I know a lot of people complain about fearless, right? Maybe like mastery level isn't the same. But then I did see a tweet the other day, like, dude, like if we didn't have Fearless, are we really going to see a Mordekaiser versus a Nivea in like a Worlds game, right? So, you know, if the pros can pull out the spicy picks, I'm sure our players can too.
I am still crashing out over that in Nivea. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. We can talk about it another time. But right now we are talking. Anyway, so right now what we are talking about is, you know, Divinity week number 7. We're gonna have to see what things do go into the draft because once again, right, when you're not playing at, you know, the tippy top of tier 1, you're not really going to be looking at the overall meta picks. You're looking at the comfort picks, and that is what you are going to be taking away. As we can see right now, the Zeri going to be taken off the table immediately, which I think outside of player-specific picks, you're really not looking at Zeri as a high-priority ban.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be some mastery-specific targeted bans, right? Respect bans of the sort, which I do think is fair. We get the J4 ban and the Camille ban as well, and the Wukong. I mean, Wukong very strong in the jungle right now, J4 as well, but Camille also has that lockdown potential, so really could isolate your carries and does scale pretty well mid to late game, and then we get the Nocturne ban from GRQA side.
Honestly, I gotta say, right? So Nocturne, one of those champions that is unbelievably good in competitive play, right? Whether it's at tier 1 or tier 50 billion, right? Nocturne is always going to be super good at just making it so difficult for the enemy team to actually understand what it is that they want to do, right? You know, you turn off the lights and you don't even need the Nocturne ulti to just strike fear into your opponent's heart. With Orianna on the table here, at the very least, we've got one of those champions that would have benefited a lot from a Nocturne, but, you know, you can't just take Orianna and be like, well, pick Nocturne into me, right? You know? You don't want that delivery ball system to be utilized and taken away from you.
Yeah, I do like the Akali counter pick. Definitely has advantage against Orianna, especially on the side lanes, right, in the mid to late game. And so going to be, for the most part, a counter pick. But we get the Volibear pickup. We don't see Volibear that often these days. But it could be kind of a 1v1 skirmish, you know, powerhouse and buy your team a lot of space. What do you think about that Volibear pick?
So the thing is, as someone who has been playing a lot of Volibear for a long time, this champion did just get nerfed in the jungle. And when I say just got nerfed in the jungle, the E damage is actually unbelievably terribly nerfed in that jungle position. So you actually find yourself clearing a lot slower than you were before on Volibear, right? You know, you're not going to be doing like, you know, 200 something damage off of one E proc at level 1. Instead, you're going to be utilizing your W's, your Q's a lot more for those clears. In the meantime, Volibear top got a little bit of a buff, has that extra base armor, has that extra base health. So a pretty good position if you do want to slot him into that top lane. But Mbessa versus Volibear, not necessarily something that as many people are so comfortable with, especially because Mbessa can just dash away from all of those volley, hits. He's not going to be staying in position to get all of those chomps off. But right now we're going to see this composition rounded out. We got 3 melees on the side of Monkey Safari. What are we going to be getting here? I would love a Sivir, honestly, if you can help it. But the Rakan takeaway from the Xayah is a very good pick here as well.
Yeah, not wanting that pairing, which makes a lot of sense there. Rakan would have been pretty good for Jolly Roger's side. But we get a Nautilus pickup too, so good engage added on. I like the Mbessa pickup as well. So there's a lot of dive on the side of Monkey Safari, but they don't really have any range at all. So obviously there's going to be the range with the ADC, but I mean, I like this Aatrox pickup a lot too because, everyone's just like kind of melee, so you can really skirmish quite a bit. Sivir could be good though.
Yeah, honestly, I just need them to pick up an 80 carry that's self-sufficient, right? A Sivir
there it
or a
is.
Jhin would be perfect, and there's the Sivir. Exactly what the doctor ordered, right? One of those champions that you don't have to worry about so much in these fights if you are the team with the Sivir, right? Your Sivir hits are, the hunt is doing fine. As long as she can hit frontline safely, you're more than okay. But right now, it's a matter of making sure that you can delete the entirety of the enemy backline. So we're just going to be trading backlines back and forth between these two teams. Some of these shockwaves are going to be extremely pivotal at actually deciding the way how these team fights go. So we're going to have to be looking at Frost in that mid lane, see just what this Orianna can pull off.
All right. And, not a ton of CC on the side of Jolly Roger's side. So the Sivir Spell Shield is going to come in really handy in these matchups. But let's go. Let's see how it goes. This is going to be the Volibear in the jungle, of course, because it's not going to be an Aatrox jungle. So we'll see how hard these nerfs really hurt. But sometimes just even if a champion is nerfed, if you're proficient on it, you can make it work too, as we see a lot of people do on their one tricks on the Rift.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, champion is far from unplayable. It's just a matter of understanding what exactly the champion can pull off now. Now, especially with the lethal tempo, it tells me Jesus Juice definitely wants to try to get on in, try to get as many autos off as possible, so it's much less of a matter of, trying to catch people from the get-go, but much more of a matter of trying to stick onto them.
Right. All right. We see a little bit of skirmish between our supports, but nothing too crazy here as we're getting set up in the lanes. Looking at summoner spells, nothing too crazy, I think. Everything looks pretty standard. So a lot of teleports on both top lane as well. So we're going to have a lot of potential for splitting and just joining team fights at the ready.
Yeah, I mean, lots of potential for splitting, but also one thing to note, right? Frost is taking that phase rush on the Orianna, right? Not going to be looking to... Oh my god, not going to be looking to pick up these minions. Going to be taking 1 out of the first 3. But most importantly, right, not going to be looking to really punish a lot of what... Oh my god, why do we have Frost on both sides? Hold on. Something's not right here.
I'm not sure, but it is, I believe, going to be Frost on Jolly Roger's side. Oh wait, no, there are 2 Frosts.
There are 2 Frosts.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there are 2 Frosts. Yeah, I was looking at the rosters, but
anyway,
that's a little bit all right. Frost versus Frost here. Battle for who's got the
who is the coolest Frost?
Yeah, if I had to go against someone with my exact name, then there's even more on the line besides just the standard mid lane matchup. But this could be a little bit confusing for the commentary side of things, so we'll try to focus more on the champion.
It'll just be It'll be Orianna and Akali.
Yes.
When everyone's Frost, no one is. Sorry, y'all. Anyway.
But good point out there too. That's something I didn't even notice myself. As we see, the bot lanes here are going back and forth as well. Level 3 on this Aatrox though, and TES actually gets a lot of damage onto Void at this moment in time and going to really shove this wave in.
Yeah, but we're also getting even more damage coming in through this bot lane. Look at Ion D almost going down there. He's just going to be able to get as many ricochets off as possible. The Bouncing Blade's just going to continue to rip through that back line. There's no barrier on that Xayah, but right now, do you have the opportunity to even get it back? We have Jesus Juice 13 coming in through the jungle, but it's the ward is in the right spot, so this wave should be safely put straight in.
Yeah, Jesus Juice is going to have to maybe buy some space for the bot lane if possible here. As Void gets pulled back in there, but Taste not going to dive the tower just quite yet. Batman is here, though, to help Void out. Can this be enough is the real question. Taste is level 4. However, Batman is full health. They're looking for the first blood here as Taste sidesteps it a little bit, tries to get out here in time. We get a flash forward from Void, but getting the flash back from Taste. So flash traded here as Batman's trying to buy a little bit more space for his top laner. Meanwhile, the Frost matchup back and forth here. Jesus Juice is here, but Zakali is going to try to make a run for it. Does force a flash out from the Akali as well, too. So big summoner spell grabbed off from that mid laner, and something that Jolly Rogers will be keeping track of.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that Akali did opt to flash there. I think that you absolutely did have enough time to just kind of walk on out until the volley got a little bit closer. But at the very least, we know that Akali was respecting the flash stun coming in from the Volibear. In the meantime, a flash for a flash in mid lane. No flash needed to burn from Rakan, but no flash on either of these mid laners. And I gotta say, when you're playing that Orianna, you're going to be a lot more wary about not having that flash, especially into an assassin like the Akali. At the same time, in that top lane, neither of these top laners having flash does make them a sitting duck for the enemy jungler. But Ambessa is one of those champions that does so much more without that flash because you have dash on dash on dash. Like, 200 years is a meme for a reason, y'all.
Definitely. As we see, the Frost vs. Frost matchup is continuing as we get to engage on this bottom side as well. The Xayah a bit behind on the CS, but nothing too crazy. It's just the ricochets are really starting to chew through the minion health as well. They're just going to try to shove this wave into turret, make it hard to CS. And the Volibear nowhere in sight to help out this bot lane. So they're probably just going to maybe lose a few minutes here as it looks like this bottom lane is maybe rotating mid or just getting some vision here. I think they're just going for some vision for the time being. But both teams playing it generally pretty passively for the time. Doesn't want to get caught out early in any of these fights.
Yeah, I mean, you say pretty passively. I see a Cole in Ion D's inventory, and we've got it pretty dang passive down here, right? On one side, we've got a Xayah who's just looking to pick up waves. On the other side, we've got a Sivir who, as we all know, just waiting for that 5-item power spike taste. In the meantime, going to be proxying all the way in that top lane.
All right, Taste caught in a little bit of trouble here. And, flashing away to not get pulled. Batman is in a great position. Oh, but the public execution does miss. Does Taste ever get out of this position is the real question. Can't you lifesteal back up? Because Batman's there. No, Batman picks up the first blood for Monkey Safari.
Yeah, unfortunate for JRQA here. I gotta say, right, Taste turning around to auto was definitely something that, you know, you look at that and you say, okay, I can see the vision there, right? You know, get that Aatrox auto heal off, but unfortunately ends up autoing the ward, so not actually going to be able to get too much off of that. In the end, right, Aatrox versus Ambessa still relatively evened up in that top lane. Not going to be losing much in terms of the wave, is going to be losing a decent bit in terms of experience, though.
See, the mid laners are continuing to skirmish here a bit. I know we see some players, especially some of our Worlds players, going for the Seraphs and the Rod of Aegis build on the Orion, just trying to be as tanky as possible here too. We'll see if that's what Frost ends up doing here as well, or maybe going for a bit more damage. But overall, though, playing still fairly safe in a tougher matchup, but obviously it gets a little bit harder when those silence do come out. Rakan rotating here a bit as we get the lane swap here. So Sivir heading up to that top side as Ambessa is going down to that bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to be seeing that lane swap come into play here, but Jesus Juice could be in trouble, but no, it's Frost who's in trouble now.
All right, Frost is trying to dash out here a bit and does get out in time as Batman is here for the assistance.
Oh.
Here comes the Glacial Prison. It does lock down Jesus Juice, but Jesus Juice can heal back up in time and does bring the Stormbringer out to buy himself a little bit of space, get to safety for time being. Still very low kill game for an 8-minute game at this moment in time. But you can see the players are not scared to fight. They're just maybe not killing each other in any of these situations. As TES might be in trouble. We get a 3-man gank here, but here comes the World Ender. Does avoid some of the... Oh, avoids a lot of the CC, actually. Dashes over the wall. Frost is on the chase, though. Can you secure the kill? Does. 4-man gank onto Aatrox. It does pay off. And here, maybe you get a second one as well. Jesus Juice is in trouble. Stormbringer is not available. It is on cooldown. Tries to dash out of it, tries to run out of it, and does get out in time. So only 1 kill. A lot invested into that specific gank, but I think it was well worth it for Monkey Safari.
Oh, definitely well worth it. We're going to take a look at this one once again as Mac Middens and Backman just walking up to that top lane. Goes for the Grand Entrance, a little bit off on there, but at the very least, the Shuriken flip going to land from Frost, and we've just got the Qs on Qs, just executes TES under the tower. And Jesus Juice wanted to take a look at what his top laner was doing, but all we know is exactly what we see on screen. The answer is going down once again. 0-2 and 0 on this Aatrox in the top lane, but still retaining a CS lead, right? TES is still playing this game relatively well, but Frost is playing this one really risky.
Oh, here comes the Shockwave as well. Frost taking a lot of damage. Can Frost get out here? A few more autos might do it. One more auto's going to do it, and it's going to be the Orianna picking up the 1v1 Frost vs. Frost kill. And that's going to be the first kill going over the side of Jolly Rogers. Still 1 kill away from claiming that Feats of Warfare for the side of Monkey Safari, but they don't have it yet. So Jolly Rogers can still grab that up if they would like. As TES, even though dead twice already, has still a CS lead over this Mbessa. So hanging in there too, despite being on the weak side.
Yeah, I mean, we can see right there, Frost going to be able to take step number 1 in terms of Frost v Frost domination, right? I mean, you got to kill up, you've got CS lead, and just like that, this Orianna is scaling harder and harder. I really, really don't like that it seems that Frost is going straight for it. Actually, hold that thought.
All right, perfect execution does connect onto TES. TES is pretty low. The World Ender is used, but not going to be enough given how low the health bars are. And you can see there too, the heal cut already bought on that Bessa as we pick up the Feats of Warfare for the side of Monkey Safari. Meanwhile, the fight is still continuing as the perfect execution just used to get out for the Akali. But overall, this matchup is actually looking more favored for Orianna so far, just given the CS and the gold lead at this moment in time, giving this Akali actually a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the big thing is Akali isn't really going to be able to pressure this Orianna, and Orianna, after picking up some early gold, after picking up some early damage, is going to be able to just contest this Akali on every single attack, right? This isn't an electrocute Akali. We're not going to have the same amount of damage. Actually, hold that thought once again.
Glacial Prison does connect onto the Nautilus, but tanks the damage, no problem. It doesn't look like any damage was even registered onto that support. So going to be maybe not the best timed usage of the ultimate. Maybe looking for a pick off, but doesn't actually quite get it here, as Aatrox is looking for a little bit of vengeance against this Mbessa. But Mbessa is a level up already at this moment in time, and might not be the easiest fight here. Avoids the Infernal Chains, but does get chunked quite a bit from this Aatrox.
Yeah, but look at Frost once again, just going to always have a billion people in his lane, and you don't even know which Frost I'm talking about at this point. But
I
right
used the
now,
context clues there.
I mean, they both got a billion people in the lane, right? But the big thing, right, is Frost on the Akali isn't going to be able to have pressure onto this Orianna. We're not going to have any sort of analysis here. We're just getting another fight going.
Yeah, right out of the Tri-Bush as the Orianna does go down. Batman's going to be one to take it, but Mac Mittens gets picked up from Jesus Juice. The chase is on as Ion D tries to get out of here, but Batman's relentless on the chase, picks up a double kill, and the ambush from the Tri-Bush was absolutely perfect from them as Batman goes to secure up their first Drake, and I don't think you have the damage or the manpower to contest it, Jesus Juice, and Mr. Geeky does get out there alive, but 2 for 0 pickup for the side of Monkey Safari, and they're starting to run away with this a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need any super in-depth analysis to know that Monkey Safari are coming out on top here, right? It's kill after kill after kill onto Batman on that Sejuani. Now, Sejuani is usually not one of those champions that you expect to have those hard carry opportunities, but I mean, you look into that top lane, Void's not exactly in the best position for it. Taste, not exactly in the best position for it, but right now, the full-on kill under tower. Taste gonna reign supreme here, walking on out with that World Ender and into the ever-loving hands of the Akali once again. These roams are exactly what Frost needs in order to get back into this game, because you are not gonna be able to touch that wave with this Orianna here.
Yeah, the 1-for-1 trade, but Taste does not care at all. Might be 1-for-4, but is not scared of this 1v1 matchup. Tower dives Void right there and does pick up the kill. Almost gets out to safety until the Kali joined the gank there, because you know that Macmins just did not have the damage himself to take out that Aatrox. So quick look at how this all went down. I mean, down a level 2, but Taste just doesn't care at all. Just relentless in this top lane. And I will say, too, the solo laners for Jolly Rogers, they're in a good position, right? The Aatrox, the Orianna, so they might be the chance that Jolly Rogers needs to get back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. We, even with that flash away, had an opportunity to get on out had not the Akali been roaming upwards. But, I mean, there's a lot of what-ifs here and there. But in the end, the biggest thing about it is this Aatrox, regardless of how far behind he is in gold, in levels, in items, is not far behind in terms of ability to fight. But...
Oh. Glacial Person does connect. Taste might be in trouble here. Might pick up another death. Batman is on the pursuit here. Darkened Blade does connect, but doesn't heal up enough. But Jesus Juice is here for the backup. Void might be in trouble as Balbit trying to stun this up. But you're 3 levels down against Zebessa. Might not be the best of times as Batman is roaming back over here. Now Jesus Juice might have overchased here. Let's see if he can get himself out. Does have that Stormbringer, so can jump out there if things get dicey here. And again, trying to slow down Taste is going to be a task because he's already died 5 times. But yet, Void is still struggling in this 1v1 fight.
Yeah, still struggling in that 1v1 fight. The one line of respite here for the side of Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's is the fact that their mid laner, this Orianna, has continued to scale up, has continued to pick up as much gold as possible, right? That Seraph isn't quite finished just yet, so not going to be able to do so much in the fights, but at the very least, going to be very far away from dying. Has only died a single time in this game. I mean, to be fair, there's only one person who hasn't died, 2 people technically, who haven't died a single time in this game, because it's been rough on the top side for the Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's, and I gotta say that's all gonna come down to team play. It's not even just the 1v1, because a lot of the times when you're playing a competitive match, you think to yourself, well, I mean, I'm the better 1v1 player. It's fine. I should be winning. I got this 1v1. But that's not how the game is played. League of Legends is a team game. You have to play around this team play. You have to play around what exactly it is that the enemy team's going to be aiming for. And unfortunately for Taste, that's this Aatrox.
That's right. Taste at least keeping up or way ahead on the CS, and that's going to be helpful for sure. But 4-0-1 Sejuani with the Heartsteel picked up already is not going to be an easy target to finish off by any means. I mean, there's just not a lot of damage as we go the Seraph's route for the Orianna. So just, you know, lacking a bit of damage so far on the side of Jolly Rogers. I mean, we started with the Cole as well for the Xayah. So this Sejuani can definitely be a problem, especially in that mid to late game. We'll see if Jolly Rogers has the ability to keep up with this, as we can see the Silver here quietly farming already at 150 CS, leading the pack here a bit, and already finished up the Essence Reaver. Feats have been claimed, I believe. Yeah, they have been claimed, yeah. So it does go over to Monkey Safari. I was just checking because most people just have the standard boots, but yes, we do see that they have been completed, and it is going to be on Monkey Safari's side here. I see this 1v1 continuing on a bit. But Taste, you know, still relentless regardless of how many times they gank him. And I think it's the right call, right, from Monkey Safari. Because if Aatrox wasn't ganked, this could be a much bigger problem in this top lane.
Right, I mean, at the very least, right, Taste still finding ways how to fight, still finding ways how to stay relevant, right? It's one of those moments where you say, well, if you go 0 for 20, at least you kept shooting, right? But in the end, TES going on in, and it's not going to be the 1v1 prowess that we've been seeing.
Wait, the Darkened Blade is connecting here, but the Public Execution was enough, plus Void's auto damage is going to finally pick up that 1v1 kill for the Mbessa, and that's going to be good because you're going to alleviate a lot of pressure here as Batman looking for another objective. Goes straight in here. So many knockups as well. And Ion D, though, picks up the kill on Mac Mittens. Is there enough damage? Is the real question here. Batman tanking forever here, but the ricochets are not doing enough damage yet. The Stormbringer comes out. We'll get the shutdown, and it's going to be the perfect execution to close things off. A triple kill for Frostus Akali. And that's going to be a huge upswing for Monkey Safari, and Batman just buying so much space for his team to do all the damage needed.
Perfect execution and an extremely apt name for that ultimate, as it just rips through the entirety of Jolly Roger's Queen Anne's right there. Now, the biggest concern I had for this Akali early on is, as far as the laning phase goes, right, the lack of Electrocute means that you never have lethal onto this Orianna, but right there with that Conqueror, going to be able to continue to stay in the fight, continue to rack up all that damage, continue to stay alive, and just buy enough time for that perfect execution to just rip through the entirety of JRQA's health bars. And it just turns into such a big swing in terms of momentum, such a big swing in terms of control, as yet another dragon falls to Monkey's Safari. There's Akali 5-1. How much gold is Frost even sitting on? I don't even know at this point. That's a Hextech alternator in the bank, but I'm almost certain that it could be a little bit more towards that next item. Oh my god, Frost. Where's your needlessly large rod, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the other Frost or Orianna might have had a slight advantage in that early game, but picking up 5 kills compared to the 1 on the side of Orianna will definitely help you catch up in that gold differential here, as Monkey Safari looking to play a bit aggressive here, as they know they have the advantage for the time being, trying to get as much map control as possible, as Mr. Geeky just trying to find some space for their team. But it is spotted out with the ward, and Mac Mittens just going to face check it, knowing what's coming. And Frost comes in here as well, too. There's 4 people on top of the bot lane of Jolly Rogers, and they are in trouble. Redemption comes out for a little bit more heal, but here comes Jesus Juice trying to go for a charge, trying to stun someone up. Oh, Shockwave doesn't connect onto anyone so far. Meanwhile, the top lanes are skirmishing in this top side jungle, as Batman is here to back up the top lane, back up the Mbessa. Here comes a perfect execution as well, and no one dying just yet. Macman's finally falls, chases Aatrox, and we get a shutdown. The Volibear taking out the Sivir, and we get a double kill going over to this Aatrox, a triple kill even, as Jolly Rogers are back in this game. 4 for 0 trade, a huge trade for them. And Frost just trying to do some damage on this mid lane turret, as things did not pan out well for Monkey Safari.
Yeah, and let's take a look one more time at how this began, right? Mr. Geeky getting caught in that bush, but instead going to be the one turning right around with that dredge line. Gets caught up by yet another one of those grand entrants. Ion D gonna just lock everyone up with those blade collars, but in the end, Frost doesn't have access to the perfect execution. In the meantime, Frost on the other side doesn't have access to that shockwave, but Void and TES just going toe-to-toe again and again, and every single one of these Qs just ripping through the team. Batman taking hit on hit on hit. A flash forward from TES into that backline, picks up 1, picks up 2. Void trying to get away from this Aatrox, but no matter how much time that you try and take the game away from TES, this man continues to come out on top, continues to stay relevant, continues to show exactly why this Aatrox is the pick that you reserve. But in the end, 4 and 6 on the Aatrox, able to pick up a Sundered Sky on top of it, and JRQA is far from out of this game.
Yeah, this Aatrox starting to get a little bit scary at this moment in time, too. I mean, let's think about it. Being behind on gold and kills, but you take the fight 4-0. That's on after the Orianna missed the entire shockwave. So they didn't even land all their abilities, but it didn't matter. Maybe got a little bit too aggressive from the side of Monkey Safari, as they took multiple tower shots on many of the champions. You saw Key take a couple as well, trying to get the chase down. But, I mean, you know, you got a bulkier build on the Orianna. You got the Featherstorm from the Xayah, so they're not the easiest champions to lock down in some of these fights, and they have their own escape tools, as Monkey Safari don't want to make that mistake again, as they look to reclaim some of their position here, and they do have a slight gold lead at this moment in time, but it has dwindled quite a bit after that fight.
Yeah, Mr. Geeky could be in trouble here, but just going to be able to dredge line out. Has the Super Blast Cone if necessary, but not going to opt to take that one just yet. Dragon is coming up in about 50 seconds, so we're going to start to see a lot more concentration around this river. Monkey Safari have already lit up this river from head to toe with all of those wards. We can see it right there, right? You got ward in the middle of the Dragon Bush, you got ward in the Pixel Bush, you got ward in the river. The entire thing is extremely lit up, and they've even got the Scuttle on top of it. In the meantime, you only got 2 wards from the size of Jolly Roger's Queen Anne's. As the game continues to ramp up again and again, Key might have access to that second crit item, but we still aren't far from that 5 item power spike from that Sivir. In the meantime, at the very least, with Flicker Blades on 3 champions, this game is starting to get way faster, way more fun the longer these team fights go, because we're just going to be having abilities pumped out over and over and over again.
Yeah, the front line of Jolly Roger is actually pretty scary, right? Because you can't just ignore the Volibear and the Aatrox diving you. But at the same time, too, you got the Xayah, you got the Orianna dishing out damage in that back end as well. So team fight potential is looking pretty strong for them, and that's why they were able to turn one of those fights. But this Akali's pretty strong as well, too. 5-1, got two items finished as well, the upgraded boots and the fully stacked Darksteel. As the fight is going on right now, Public Execution doesn't land onto anyone quite yet, as a lot of these melee champs are just dishing out a bunch of damage. The perfect situation for the Aatrox to really thrive in this situation here, as Jesus Juice does go down, but Key goes down as well. A lot of damage missing now, and Bessa is gone too, as Macman is going to be chased down from TES, and Batman on the run trying to get out here. You don't have enough damage from the Sejuani by yourself, or do you? I don't think it's going to be enough here, as going to freeze up Frost for a time being. Flash, Frost is out. Oh, Batman actually takes that 1v1, just too damn tanky here with the Heart Seal. However, still a pretty good fight for Jolly Rogers. A little bit consolation prize for the Sejuani on the side of Monkey Safari.
Yeah, and let's take a look at this fight one more time here, right? Where if initially they're just clearing out the wards, clearing out the vision, nothing too crazy going on. We've got a lot of people on potential flank wars right now. With that grand entrance, Macman's gonna go straight on in. The shockwave doesn't actually manage to land, but watch this right here. Ion D with that blade collar just roots all 5 members of Monkey Safari, and it's just damage on damage. And that's the power of the Xayah. If you have to walk directly into her, she can force your team to take so much damage. She can force your team to be in such a bad position so much of the time, and in the end, they end up chasing after Batman, trying to make sure that there's no chance of that dragon take. But we saw that right there. Batman's still gonna be able to be that Avenger for the squad. I mean, might not be a marvel in the end, but at the very least, a consolation prize is one big thing.
Yeah, I mean, the real question is, how do you take out TES in these fights? Because TES was struggling when it was like a 4v1 in the top lane, getting ganked time and time again. But now you got 2 items completed on TES, and then you got 4 melee champions playing into him. If you try to target him, he just heals back up. He was full health at the end of that fight. And that's just what you expect, you know? And again, like, if you just try to ignore him, that's not going to be a great time either. If you all funnel onto him, as long as he has a few moments to drop those Darkened Blades on you, he's going to just heal back up, especially with the Sunder Sky as on top of it.
Exactly. I mean, Caleb, this is exactly why I say that Sivir has a 5 item power spike, right? Because when it comes to champions like the Aatrox, right, that is the point of the Sivir. You end up being the one to pick up the healing reduction with that Mortal Reminder, because with the ricochets, you have a guaranteed way to proc it directly onto TES each and every time. In the meantime, Sejuani might have a little bit of that healing reduction, but we're neither here nor there. We're not going to be talking about items. We're going to be talking about this charge onto the top lane tower.
It is going to crash. The turret on that top side is going to go down. I think the rest of Jolly Rogers are going to back off for the time being, as Baron has spawned up. I don't think either team's going to go for it yet, as a little bit on the earlier side, but just trying to get position here in case someone tries to sneak one. Meanwhile, that mid lane turret, tier 2 turret, does go down, so good. A lot of, map control now for this side of Monkey Safari, just to be able to open up the map quite a bit. But again, despite their early leads, this Aatrox problem is starting to get a bit harder and harder to deal with, as we have 3 items now on the Xayah on top of it. So Ion D, picking up farms slowly and quietly in a lot of these fights, but also kind of untouched in a lot of them too. So able to pick up maybe not as many kills, but a lot of the systems just surviving throughout it all has been really beneficial for the Zaya.
Yeah, and one of the things I will say about Ion D, I really, really enjoy this kind of itemization where you understand, all right, you know what? I've got the attack speed, I've got enough damage. Right now, I just need to be able to put out as much utility as possible, right? You're not really going to be skipping over to that Infinity Edge. You're not going to be skipping out on your armor penetration. You're just going to be trying to get as many blade callers off in these fights as possible. As long as you can get those E's off, that is why you pick the Zaya. That is why you're able to stay alive. That is why your team is able to win these fights. I mean, we saw how powerful a 5-man blade caller was in that last fight where Ion D was able to stay alive towards the very, very end. And it works out so well for them. JRQA in a phenomenal position as this game continues, at least until Key can pick up that one big fifth item, I would say, but at the very least, a 4-item power spike would be really, really big here. Right now, is going to be able to pick up that Executioner's Calling, and there we go. That is the power of the Sivir, able to utilize all of the potential utility positions, right, for the team, right? You don't need to have any healing reduction on any other champions as long as your Sivir can hit the front line a single time.
That's right. I mean, you know how bad of a problem this Aatrox is when you got triple heal cut items on your team, but so how else are you going to deal with it? Obviously, the Volibear has a lot of life steal as well, so it is going to have a lot of utility in a lot of these fights, but we'll see, because if this is not enough to slow down the Aatrox, then I think this might be a GG's for the side of Monkey Safari, as we see a slight gold advantage onto the side of Jolly Rogers. Nothing too insurmountable, but we do get the Stairs Gauge completed on the Aatrox as well. Just going to make him even more unkillable in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like Sivir being put into a utility position, right? Because if Key does end up opting to pick up a Serpent's Fang on top of that, Executioner's Calling, right? All of a sudden, we've got Sivir able to reduce both healing and shielding for the entirety of JRQA, but also the reason why Sivir's one of those champions that just begs for so much gold as the game goes on. In the meantime, Frost v Frost, not going to be a 1v1.
All right, we get the Orianna flash out here. Frost, the other Frost, Akali in is a little bit of trouble. Does use the perfect execution to get out of there in time. And I think the Akali has really done a good job of just staying alive, despite maybe not winning the team fights, but doesn't give over any of those kills. Still 5-1 here, but the other Frost, the Orianna, closing in on that Rabadons, as it looks like there might be soul point for at least one of these teams. Which one's going to be the real question? I don't think there's any time, as Monkey Safari is going to pick this up. Are they going to go for a flank is the real question. TES is on the horizon, but Orianna is not in for the fight, so opting to not go for it. So actually a pretty solid pickup for the side of Monkey Safari, putting themselves on soul point with the cost of absolutely nothing.
Yeah, a relatively solid pickup. Now, the big question is, are we going to be seeing a Baron trade here? Void actually walking over towards the top side for a little bit before deciding to return to the bot lane to make sure that TES doesn't just get all of these towers for free. But in the end, it's just going to be a very calm and collected dragon pickup. Nothing too crazy, nothing ventured, nothing gained, but we are still getting the 1v1s in these side lanes. This is exactly the kind of thing you'd like to see, right, on the broadcast. Just lots and lots of action here and there. But Ambessa looking balanced right now with TES on the Aatrox, just able to land so much damage, so many hits each and every moment.
This actually might not be a bad strategy for Monkey Safari if they lean into it. If they keep TES preoccupied with this Ambessa, it actually could be pretty good, because now that means TES cannot join these team fights, and they can maybe take a 4v4 fight, which might be more favorable for the side of Monkey Safari. But not looking to grab any objectives on at the moment in time, so TES is just going to farm things back up a bit, as Void is going to look to catch the wave. Both top laners do have their TPs up, so they can join the fight from any time. I see TES is going to be recalling at this. Oh, maybe not. All right, wants to push this a little bit here. Maybe just doesn't want to give over the cannon minion, as Void caught in a little tough position, but does take a few tower shots. Is this Aatrox, so going to back off for the time being. As you can see, Void going to just recall, so might even give up this bot lane turret. No, opting to stay for the time being. This could be disastrous though if you get tower dove. Batman's in the general area, and so is Rakan, but I think TES is going to think differently of it as they're looking to potentially set up for this Baron take. But it's going to be spotted out with the blue trinket.
Yeah, he is going to be spotted out here. And now I will say, very, very crucial thing, had to sell the Doran's Blade, is going to be able to pick up that Last Whisper component. Not going to be able to turn it into a Mortal Reminder just yet. Now, one of the things I love to note, right, when it comes to these Doran's Blades is D-Blade actually unbelievably powerful right now, right? I mean, you have the Omnivamp on it now, so with champions like Xayah, with champions like Sivir, you're going to be able to get so much more value out of it, able to heal off of the Blade Callers, able to heal off of these ricochets, but in the end, no Doran's Blade on key means that this Sivir is going to be much easier to pop in these fights. I'm not even sure if we have a Bloodline pickup on key or any sort of healing whatsoever, but in the end, we have the 4-item power spike. We are 1 away from key turning into God mode Sivir.
Yeah, Sivir does finish up the 4th completed item. Both these ACs doing a great job of farming over 10 CS per minute, which is what you love to see on your damage carries here. Whoa, looks like there might be a fight around this river, and this is going to be a perfect setup for Monkey Safari because this Aatrox is currently preoccupied. Here comes the TP from Mbessa as the fight is going down, and Frost gets picked off right away. Orianna is not anywhere to be seen as Nautilus is going to be killed afterward. So does the Volibear. That's going to be a triple kill now for the Sivir, flashing forward for the quadra kill, and TES can only sit there and watch as the team gets decimated when he's not around.
Yeah, and just like that, we were talking about the Sivir scaling up, but the Sivir has already arrived key with a quadra kill. Going to be able to turn that one right around. It's an instant turn onto the Baron, and this should be a huge influx of gold to the side of Monkey Safari. It's been so close for so long, but now we're going to be seeing this gold lead start to balloon. We're only about 1,000 gold away from one another, but these teams are absolutely in worlds different positions now.
That's absolutely huge as well too. Void just keeping TES busy long enough so that it could get the heads up on the TP over. And, they're also on Soul Point on top of it. So Baron buffs and Soul Point is going to buy them a lot of space. If they can pick up this Chemtech Soul, that's going to be absolutely huge for them because that'll make these fights a little bit better. And you definitely don't want the Aatrox with the Chemtech Soul on their side. But yeah, the Sivir is looking a little bit scary at this moment in time too. Picks up another sword to add some additional damage. Maybe going for the Bloodthirster to finish things off here and just give you the lifesteal that you do need.
Yeah, I mean, Bloodthirster would be absolutely incredible for this Sivir. I mean, as long as Sivir can auto-attack even a frontliner, it's more than enough. But we're seeing the Frosty Frost battle once again. Redemption gonna come on down.
Oh, but 4 champs already going to be in this bot side. Xayah's not that far too. This Frost Akali is going to have to back off for time being, but here comes the Drake, and this could be so for Monkey Safari. It's going to be contested for sure from Jolly Rogers, and this could be the fight that they need as Aatrox is in the fray now, looking for it. As you can see, Key going to pop on the hunt for the chase down. Here comes the Glacial Prison. TES is low, and TES goes down before anything can be done, and Key is going to be running forward here. I think Monkey Safari, they just want to end it at this moment in time too. They don't care about Soul. They just want to close out this base as this Aatrox is dead. They still have the Baron buffs as well. It's going to be easy for them to push it here. You see the TP back from the Volibear trying to slow things down. I don't know if they have what it takes here as Shockwave is up from Frost. Can Frost land a huge Shockwave and do enough damage to clear things out is the real question. Shockwave does connect onto the Mbessa and Batman, but it's just not enough. They're too tanky. Not enough damage to close things off as Akali jumps forward here, doing all that they can do, and they make a comeback here in the final few minutes. Monkey Safari takes game number 1.
And Monkey Safari, they had their game plan, they had their opportunity, they have their victory. Game number 1 to the victors of this current split. I mean, right now, this team still has not dropped a single series, and with a game 1 victory, they're in the position to have an undefeated season. Monkey Safari right now just in such a good position, and look at all the damage Key put out, right? The biggest concern that we have with Sivir in these games is, can you get to the point where the Sivir is relevant? Monkey Safari absolutely shattered our expectations. They're going to be able to bring it all the way to the end.
Yeah, you can't even see the damage numbers on the server. That's just how much damage that he output in those fights. And, you know, kind of a quiet game from both ADCs in the early to mid game, but they were doing their job, farming up, picking up the items they need, and trying their best to neutralize their Aatrox. I love the aggression in that final fight. They just said, you know what, full send on Aatrox, on the hunt, the Glacial Prison, lock down the Aatrox, and once TES is out of the picture, and you can see the damage that TES output. You know, fantastic game from him, but just a little bit too much for him to carry. And, you know, obviously the rest of the team did well too, but it just wasn't enough to match the power of Monkey Safari. They're going to take game number 1, but we're going to head to a quick break as we're back for more best of 3 action. Welcome back, everyone, to Titan Esports' Divinity League. On the final week, we have Jolly Rogers, Queen Anne's versus Monkey Safari, our number 1 and 2 seed in our groups. And Monkey Safari looking for the undefeated regular season run here, and they're 1 game away from it. I'm Caleb Pang. I'm joined with Anti. How do you feel about first game?
Yeah, I mean, I am really, really excited to see how this series goes because that was one of the first times where I looked through the entirety of the game, and I actually don't have very many, if any, complaints about the way how people were playing, how people were building, right? At the very least, we're not losing out to Boris. We're instead losing out to simply not being the better team at the moment, right? But right now, it's not so cut and dry who the better team is. It's not so very open as to what exactly is going to be the end of this, because Monkey Safari is 6-0 in the standings right now. They still have dropped a game, so it's not exactly the end of the world just yet. It is still possible for Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's to take this one in the end. It is still possible to make this god bleed, but we're gonna have to see what that does turn into on the Rift, because let's look at draft, and I am very interested in seeing what this does turn into.
Yeah, I mean, they did make him bleed a bit, right? Especially in that mid game, and things looked a bit dire, but Monkey Safari locked in, found the team fights they needed, especially on that river fight by Baron, and then the final fights by that Soul, and that's all they needed for that game. As we see the respective bans come out yet again, the Zeri, the J4. Again, Zeri not super meta relevant right now, but maybe in the hands of Ion D, that does not matter. We get the Yunar ban, which is pretty understandable these days. And let's see how the rest
most banned champion at Worlds.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I didn't fill out my pick'ems in time, but I probably would have got most of them wrong anyway, especially if especially that Swiss stage.
Yes. So Swiss stage, nah. Final stage, I predicted the telecom war from the very beginning. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, even if I didn't see your pick'ems, you did say that to me in a broadcast like 2 weeks ago or so. So
I called it. That's all I'm saying. But all of that aside, what we are going to have now is a guaranteed banger. We already have Nocturne taken off the table once again. The Smolder gonna be locked in immediately. Okay, so Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's in that last game said, all right, we're going to play counter dive, right? We're just going to play that disengage. We're going to be doing just fine. Y'all are going to have to be the ones diving into us. Now they're saying, hey, what if we play the front to back? And what better way to answer front to back than a Jinx?
Yeah, definitely. And hyper carry meets hyper carry, but Jolly Rogers saying, you know what? We might not be able to beat them in the early game, maybe not the mid game, but we will beat them in the end game if we get to that far. We get the Pantheon pickup. I like this a lot too, because you can really, dive onto that Smolder, lock him down as fast as possible. Oh, and we get the Udyr pickup too. All right, let's see how that goes. I think someone in the chat said something about only real men play Udyr or something like that. I don't know.
They also said that you're probably the most handsome caster in amateur. I mean,
wow.
I think they're only speaking the truth here. So
we get the Seraphine pickup too. So buying, being able to provide a lot of peel for that Smolder. Likely going to be a Smolder ADC, but in certain situations, Smolder can fit in that mid lane. However, I think if you go Smolder in the mid lane, especially with the Seraphine support, you're just not going to have enough front line. So I think we're going to see maybe a slightly tankier mid laner. Could be a Galio. Galio could be good. But a Galio ban would be pretty solid for Monkey Safari. We get the Scion pickup too. So a lot of beefy front line. And Smolder, yes, you might, even if you're fully stacked, that's a lot of health bar to chew through on that Scion.
So as far as I'm concerned, you actually don't really need a super tanky mid laner right now. At the very least, you need another top laner who is going to be a very, very beefy front laner, right? Like you can take the Set here if you want to just go the Bruiser route. You can take the Ornn here if you want to just be as tanky as possible, also manage to beef up that Smolder. And with that Seraphine, there are 2 options that you can go here, right? You can go for the Ashe to make sure that is going to be super, super tough for the enemy team to play. You go for the Sona, which is going to be taken away. So that is a phenomenal takeaway from Monkey Safari, because that's one of those champions, that's one of those bot lane picks that really makes things super tough there. It is going to be the Yone, so it is going to be that Smolder Seraphine bot lane, presumably. And what are we going to do to round out this team composition? It might be a jungle pick here. Nope, it is that Ornn that we were mentioning.
Yeah, okay, going to be the Ornn, and this is kind of not a lot of magic damage on the side. Well, actually, no, you got the Udyr as well in the Seraphine, so it should be good. You got some mixed damage on the Yone, so all things good there. I was thinking a
Whoa!
Galio pick could be good, right? Because they know they have to go for AP in the mid side, but Yone's nice, and then we get the Mel pickup. I mean, Mel rising in popularity after, you know, some maybe good player we've seen in this in the professional circuit run it a few times.
That's right.
But
BDDs.
I think it actually has a 100% win rate at Worlds, actually, which is
It
kinda
does.
nice.
It does.
Yeah,
Over 3
so
games.
yeah, so you know, let's see if we can make it 100% win rate in Divinity League, or maybe things switch up a bit. But I like the teams overall. I mean, obviously the scaling looks fantastic on the Smolder, and then with the ornaments too, like things are going to look pretty scary in the late game. But you got the Jinx as well, and the Scion's just like perma scaling on top of it. So it's hard to say which draft is noticeably better. I think, you know, I mean, if you could pick off the Smolder, then I think you're going to be in a good spot, right? There is still damage on the other champions as well, but just not as threatening damage. And if you could really slow down Smolder, though, things are going to definitely look good for you, as you probably want to end this game in the mid game if you're Monkey Safari.
Honestly, my big concern here, right, is for the side of Monkey Safari, can you keep this Mel alive, right? Mel versus the Yone is one of those matchups where you can't use the rebuttal on too much, right? The only thing that you can really actually reflect per se is going to be the knockup coming in from that Yone. But at the very least, Yone's always going to be able to have an in on Mel, always going to have a way to move on forward if the Mel doesn't have the solar snare active. So you got to be really, really careful in that mid lane if you want to be able to scale up. If you do manage to get to the later stages of the game, the tankiness of that Udyr, the tankiness of that Ornn aren't going to be nearly as much of a problem. Mel excels so much at dealing with these super tanks because every single hit of that Mel is going to be able to stack up that passive, going to be able to reduce the value of those health bars, and a big ulti coming in from Mel could make sure that that Jinx just gets hit after hit after hit, reset after reset after reset. So right now, these two teams going to have to continue to scale up very, very reliably, but not so much that JRQA gets to Elder Dragon at home moment.
Yeah, I will say too, the rebuttal is actually pretty nice though into Smolder and team fights, because you call Mom down, you reflect that, and that's a lot of damage going back over. Even the Achu like being reflected is pretty annoying for. Oh, and also you got the Seraphine ultimate as well too. So I think I agree with you. In lane, maybe not as useful, but in those team fights, the Mel reflex can be pretty crucial depending on what it's going to be used on. So we'll see if Frost is able to pull that off or not.
I will also say, I mean, we are getting word that the drafts are actually a little bit mixed up. It is Monkey Safari on the left, and it is JRQA on the right. So we're going to be
that
seeing...
does switch things up a bit.
Yeah, it does switch things up a bit, but it also means that we are going to be seeing more of this melee versus range dichotomy in the mid lane with Frost v Frost. Gotta say, doesn't really change a thing. It's still going to be Frost v Frost, but we are still going to be seeing melee Frost versus range Frost in one of these two directions. You know what I mean.
Yeah,
but
the Frost is playing the Yone and the Mel, so for that one, it is going to be correct here. But so that means that we actually have Key going to be on the Smolder, and we did see last game. I mean, both Key and Ion D did a fantastic job of farming, so we'll see how quick that Smolder gets to that 225 stack, as we'll periodically try to see if our observer can check on that for us, because that will be a huge power spike Smolder, obviously. Well, no surprise here, Frost on the Mel, and Batman going to be on the Udyr. And Batman played a fantastic game on the Sejuani last game. Let's see if he can keep things going here, or if Jolly Rogers Queen Anne can force a game number 3 here for us.
Yeah, I mean, I love the amount of early game damage on the side of Jolly Rogers Queen and going to be able to take control of a lot of these early objectives, right? I'd be very, very surprised if we actually had Monkey Safari being the ones coming out on top towards those first 2 dragons. I'm almost certainly expecting Jolly Rogers Queen Anne to be able to pick up the first 3 of the, neutral objectives. It should be a mana flow ban onto the side of Frost there. So ranged Frost is going to be very happy. And melee Frost is going to be, just shouting at his jungler a bit in the call, but all of a sudden has to burn the flash. Oh my god.
Okay. Wants to play it safe there, but that is a pretty crucial summoner spell that is going to be used in the very early game. But that could be the pressure that Pantheon provides onto you. So things are already looking pretty good for Frost, but not so good for the other Frost here.
Yeah, I mean, Melee Frost not going to be happy about that, especially when there's a Pantheon in the mid lane and your one way how to counter is going to be that Udyr, right? I mean, not going to be so great in terms of the 2v2 when you're the one missing flash, so the enemy Pantheon just manages to get directly on top of you. But top lane's still just going to be that wet noodle fight that we know and love. But look at this, Range Frost still coming out on top.
Yeah, Mel just really pushing advantage, a level 2 advantage there too, and knowing that there's no flash as well can be pretty aggressive in that specific matchup. Meanwhile, our two beefy top laners just exchanging some blows, but this Yone already in a really tough position in this matchup here. Meanwhile, the Ornn taking the better of the trade so far, but obviously Sion not going to worry too much here. And we'll see how the Smolder is stacking at this moment in time, but two enchanters as supports does make this bot lane kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely interesting to say the least, but I gotta say, it's super interesting to see that Void and TES are continuing to go blow for blow, head to head again and again, using that Bella's Breath, trying to stop that decimating smash, but right now, it's just going to be hit after hit, and the only one who really comes out on top is the one who gets the grass proc, so there we go, TES wins out on that trade.
Yeah, you can see the Ornn are really low on mana at this point in time too. Both just stacking up as much health as they can. Obviously, the health stacking is going to be more favorable for Sion due to his W skill. But either way, though, still looking pretty good here as Yone trying to do whatever he can to get as much CS as possible despite the rough start. Still doing a decent job of keeping up here as the Decimating Smash is going to connect. The Sion is a level behind and Batman is lurking in the area. I think the Sion did see him there, though, so going to back off for the time being. But Batman was all over the map in the last game, and let's see if he continues to do that for this one.
Yeah, I mean, right here, the big question is, do you have the ability to just clear out the wave, get this all the way into tower? And after you saw Batman in the area, I mean, it should be pretty risky to actually walk up here, but we're getting that 2v2 in the mid lane going.
All right, well, Jesus Juice, the junglers and mid laners from both teams are in the area. Flash is still down, though, for the Yone, so that is a crucial thing to note for this specific fight. But the wave is definitely more in favor of Monkey Safari, so they're not going to push this fight too much here, as they're going to do a little bit of chip damage onto this Mel, but I think Frost is going to be able to do just fine in this position.
Yeah, and just like that, this Mel is continuing to pick up so much of a CS lead. I mean, we saw that in the last game, but in the last game, at the very least, on the Akali, Melee Frost was able to pick up a lot of kills from these roams, right? I mean, it was kill after kill onto TES, but right now, it's not going to be as bloody of a game as we saw in the last one. It's just going to be very stable. Nothing too much going on here.
Yeah, I do think the Sona support for Jolly Rogers is not a bad choice because it's a little bit harder to stack these Chu stacks on a range support, right? So if it was like I don't know, like a Nautilus, right, you'll be able to get a lot of stacks off that support and just really accelerate the Smolder. But going to have to opt for more Q stacks for the most part for Key, but looks like he is still, I don't know, maybe Key's trying to prove me wrong here as lands a double a Chu right there. So, I mean, played a fantastic game on the Silver last game, so I shouldn't expect anything less here.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will also note, right? Sona was a bit of a takeaway from that Seraphine Sona possibility. I'm not really too certain if Monkey Safari is the type of team to actually go for those kinds of, double enchanter bot lanes, but it's one of those things that you do have to keep in mind, right? Where if you decide to pick up a team composition that would just keep your team alive forever and allow Smolder to just do as much damage as possible on repeat, it could have been a big deal, but in the end, it is going to just be one of those relatively underplayed enchanters. I'd actually argue that Sona is pretty dang underrated. One of those champions that is just able to constantly keep the team alive, constantly able to put the team in a good position. And one of, if not the only I'd argue, midline supports in the entire game, because you're constantly diving in between that front line and back line, trying to make sure everyone's healthy and everyone is buffed up. In the meantime, top lane is that wet noodle fight that we know and love here. Honestly, if I'm T1 Void here, I'm just going to be picking up a Cole, right? You know, not
right.
really too much going on. Actually, never mind. Looking to pick up a kill.
Oh, wait, avoids the call of the Forge God here, but the minions and the flash forward volcanic rupture is going to pick up the kill onto TES. So despite not landing the ultimate, no problem there, as the Ornn is going to pick up that first head-to-head matchup. However, the CS lead is quite favorable for TES here, as going to go for a TP and try to get back into this lane as soon as possible. Does have the ultimate up as well, so Unstoppable Onslaught can maybe pick off the Ornn if you can land it in the proper time, but you can see Void going to respect that, as Void does take the better of that 1v1 matchup. And let's see how it all went down.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at this one more time, right, you know, just gonna hit that Bellows Breath, get that auto, and Call of the Forge Guard coming in just in time. And you just have the Unstoppable Onslaught to guarantee that you don't have the reactivate on it, but who cares? You get the Empowered Auto, you get the Flash Forward, you get the Q, and you get the kill. TES gonna be going down once again, but this time, it's not gonna be with Jungle Intervention, it's just gonna be a 1v1, and there's the Jungle Intervention.
All right, Jesus Juice does come through, but it gets charmed up under the turret. Flash force out from Key, so a crucial summoner spell is going to be down for the Smolder. However, no kills going to be traded in that specific fight. But Jesus Juice applying some of that pressure, trying to slow down the Smolder stacking as much as possible. Meanwhile, Batman looking for Frost, and Frost is going to be knocked up from the Yone and does get killed off from Batman. So a pretty good start for Monkey Safari, and that's not where you want to be if you're Jolly Rogers, because they also have the Smolder, and so if they win the early game and they're going to win the late game, things are not looking great for Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's.
Yeah, definitely not going to be feeling too great for Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's, as Monkey Safari going to continue to scale up here, going to continue to come out with these wins. A kill onto Udyr, a kill onto Ornn, a kill onto these super beefy frontliners that are going to be the #1 obstacle for these backliners, right? I mean, the biggest thing here is the tankier and tankier that these frontliners get, the more difficult it is to actually take out the squishy members that should be easy to take out. But Void Grub's going to be traded for Dragon here, at the very least for Jolly Rogers Queen, and they're not going to have to be dealing with a mountain drag on top of an Udyr and an Ornn.
Yeah, that would not be a fun time. I do like that Void is, trying to stay up ahead in XP as well against a Scion. Obviously, as the Ornn levels up more and more, you can get those ornaments out for your team. So not being behind on levels is going to be crucial. And it looks like Void is taking the better of these trades constantly in these back and forth fights. And TES just trying to stack up as much health as possible in these situations. And Scion, even if you die a little bit, it's not the end of the world here. But Monkey Safari, they're 1 kill away from the Feats of Warfare, so you don't want to give up this 3rd kill just yet. TES going to exchange a bit back and forth, but it's just Decimate Smash and Bellows Breath constantly as we see Yone going forward here, clearing out some of the minions, but overall just both teams going for a bit of CS. Maybe we see a fight here? No, TES going to just go back to farming.
Yeah, gonna go back to farming, gonna be able to pick up some honey fruit, walk on back into the lane, honestly. I mean, not really gonna be in such a terrible position on that Ornn. It's just a matter of fighting on fighting. I mean, I said before, right? The only ones who really come out ahead are the ones who actually get the Grasp of Undying proc, and right now, we've got quite a few Grasp procs on both of these top laners, where they're very, very tanky on both sides. There's the only thing that Mel can actually use the rebuttal on in this lane, but in the end, Range Frost going to be able to come out on top on that trade.
Yeah, the Mel is actually a low behind the Yone though, and so probably partly due to dying there in lane and not catching some of that CS. But if I do think I saw correctly, I think this Smolder's already hit 125 stacks. And if that's the case, that's pretty scary, because that is an early one. As Fate Seal does come out, but the Mel going to use the W just for a little bit of movement speed, gets out there in time. Batman is in the area, but things are looking a little bit scary for this Mel.
Yeah, definitely looking a little bit scary, but not as scary as how this bot lane's looking, where we've had essentially 0 big things happening. I mean, that is a call on the side of Ion D once again. Usually you'd be seeing it on Key, but there's the flash in from Udyr. Let's look at the bot lane.
All right, Batman is ganking the bot lane, trying to buy some space for the Smolder. I think Ion D and Mr. D, he is going to be able to get out from to safety there. Not quite enough able to close the distance. Meanwhile, Jesus Juice is here trying to gank up this Ornn. Ornn is not going to be easy to kill there, but here comes the unstoppable onslaught as here comes the Decimating Smash. Going to be another knockup, and Taste picks up a kill on the backs. Oh, but Key goes down to Ion D. And that's a big pickup for this bot lane. And now 2-2. Feats of Warfare could be anyone's game at this moment in time, but Tate's going to pick up some place as well.
Yeah, and let's take a look at this one more time in that bot lane, right? So it is the flash forward from Batman, not going to be able to land the stun until the very end, and it's just extremely disjointed here. Key and Mac Minnons not going to be in the proper spot for it, but right there, a greedy back on the ward, not perfectly timed, and just like that, Mr. Kiki going to be able to go ahead, get that ultimate off. The crescendo forces Key to stay behind, and a super mega death rocket gonna be living up to the name.
It's a very unfortunate. He was the last one to back. Oh, we get the shutdown though, and that actually I think Feast of Warfare I believe went over to the side of Jolly Roger's Queen Anne because the kill must have happened just off screen, I believe, at that moment in time. As Frost is... Oh, wait, no, I think that was actually the Smolder death right there, so that does make sense. So they do actually pick up the Feats of Warfare, because we just saw that final kill on the Scion, right?
Oh, no, it was the Udyr actually ended up dying off screen.
Oh, okay, it was the Udyr off screen. Yeah. But we'll take a look at replay once we have the chance for that. However, it does look like Shutdown was picked up onto the Seraphine, which is not the best where you want the gold to be, but really good for Jolly Queen Rogers to at least have the Feats of Warfare to hopefully not give or Feats of Strength over to already a scaling team on the side of Monkey Safari.
Yeah, honestly, my biggest question here is how in the world was that a shutdown, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it was a 1-1-1 Ornn, but in the end, it's just going to be, once again, just fights on fights in that top lane. You know, we all know it, we all love it, and let's take a look at one of those big fights. I'm expecting it to be a 2v2 in this top lane. Let's get this one going here. Batman going to try to go on in on Taste. Actually gonna get locked up by that Decimating Slash. And just like that, he actually didn't realize that the Pantheon was right in the area. Jesus Juice able to just come on in, steals the Gromp, steals the kill, seals the deal, and you're telling me Taste has a shutdown off of this? Okay, Riot. But yeah, in the end, it is going to be that one big kill coming through to seal the Fates of Warfare, but the shutdown going over to Mac Minnons gonna be able to seal the deal.
Yeah, great call of the Force God angle as well there from Void to set up that play.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Taste was going to be dead there either way. Maybe greeting a little bit too long for that final wave, but I think feels still pretty good about the situation that they're in. Slight goal lead favoring Jolly Rogers, but again, you always have to worry about the Smolder as already scaling quite hard here. I mean, this might be, depending on how fast the Smolder is stacking, if Key gets this 225 at 20 minutes or even sooner, things are going to look really ugly for Jolly Rogers.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, with all of this focus on these neutral objectives, I don't think they're going to be hitting that crazy 225 dream this early on. But at the very least, we are going to be stacking on Dragon. We are going to be stacking on this fight.
Oh, the Zion ultimate does not connect. Mom is called over the top, but Call of the Forge God is also used up. Doesn't have a chance to actually finish it off, so doesn't end up knocking anyone. Meanwhile, Mac Minnons goes down, and that means that Jinx is excited, going to be doing some extra damage. But Jinx goes down. Jesus Juice is in trouble. Taste now going to be a lone Scion, trying to do where he can to weather storm, but not going to be able to do it. Zombie Forward Scion is going to dish out a little bit of damage afterward. But overall, a good fight going over to Monkey Safari. As they lose one, they pick up 3.
Yeah, they lose one, pick up 3, but most importantly, he able to stay alive, able to pick up as much gold as possible, able to keep these stacks coming, but also able to do all of that without burning a single summoner spell. This Smolder is so powerful, going to be able to continue to pick up as much gold as possible, as much farm as possible, as much of these, you know, stacks as possible. I need a Smolder stack count at this point, right? I mean, like, the little guy has been eating well as far as this game has been going, able to be in the position for that first tower gold, able to be in this position for all of that farm, nearly 10
134.
CS a minute.
Yeah, 134 is going to be the smolder stack. So probably won't hit anything
Okay,
pre-20,
we're,
but
we're not we're not
around
hitting
the
the 20-minute dream.
yeah, but around like a 22-minute, 23-minute mark is going to be still quite good.
That's
And
fast.
Monkey Safari, it's true. That is fast. I mean, depending on the champs that you're stacking against, and I think the bot lane maybe wasn't the easiest stacking lane for the smolder, but still pretty on pace for a solid smolder game. As meanwhile, gets stuck with the traps. He is in trouble. Has calls mom down for a little bit extra healing. Ion D getting a lot out of that. Grabbing the barrier and the flash from Key is absolutely huge. Going to be easy pickups for the smolder later, as Fate Sealed is going to be used on the Mel. Frost is in trouble. But Frost gets out of there just in time as the Soul Unbound ends. And Yone not able to pick up the kill, but still 0-3 for now. However, this Mel, sneaky, gets away for now.
Yeah, gets away for now. That rebuttal timing was actually so good. Make sure that Soul Inbound doesn't actually have the ability to take him out there. But right now we can see Frost on that Yone, still able to push out that side lane, still able to come out on top again and again. And it is going to be that final feat, I believe. No, it's not. We're not quite yet there. Right, we've got that one dragon, we've got that Rift Herald. We don't have the grubs on the side of Jolly Rogers, Queen Anne, so it's not going to be feats going to anyone just yet. It is this next neutral objective taken that decides it all. Dragon coming up in just 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's going to be a big fight, and you can see the players trying to get as close to their next item as possible, because that could determine a lot as things go on, not just for feature strength, but I assume it will be a bloodbath for that Drake contest, as first turret did go over to Monkey Safari. So it is 1-1 on the feature strength count. Searing Charge does knock up TES, but TES just walking off no problem. Just going to go for the proxy instead, which I think is fair, as our top lane is just stacking as much health as they can in these situations. The Sunfire is completed, whereas you got the Hollow Radiance on the side of Scion.
Yeah, I mean, that man's only dedicated armor item are the plated steel caps, and we're still watching Scion just walk straight through the tower like it's nobody's business. Speaking of which...
just roaming around unbothered is TES' Scion, and doesn't care at all. Meanwhile, the Frost versus Frost matchup is more heavily favored towards his Yone for the time being, both in kills but also in levels. As you can see, Key just trying to play as slowly as possible here, and I think Jolly Rogers, they don't want to go too aggressive, right, as we do have the objective coming up. Misses the Fate Seal. That's actually huge for this Mel, but still taking a lot of damage from this Yone, and you just can't really dish it out very easily because you have so many dash on this Yone. It's hard to lock him down.
Yeah, definitely difficult to lock him down, especially with that Soul Unbound going to be able to guarantee that there's no real lockdown. But just right there, we see this 2v2 coming in clutch for the side of JRQA. I mean, Jinx able to output so much damage as this game goes on, but Void still looking to try to find a way how to deny this Scion, but it's just an impossibility.
Yeah, it looks like deja vu. It looked like a replay for a second there, as we just saw that happen yet again, taking that sneaky path, going for the proxy, but maybe they are fed up with the Scion. Let's see if they can lock him down. It's a real question here, as Batman is here. You can't even ult out if you're Scion, because as they're body blocking, avoiding it. Flashes out though. However, TES does get picked up here, as Batman committed to the flash as well. But does this mean that they gave up the feats of strength, as the Drake is going to be prioritized right now? They need to get something out of it, as we get the flash out from Ion D. Does get knocked out from Call of the Forge God, but is there and safely there. Actually, no, they didn't finish off the Drake in time. This could be huge for Monkey Safari, because they have the numbers advantage as well.
Yeah, they took it too slow. Jinx is out of the fight, and just like that, Monkey Safari have the inner track on the dragon.
All right, can you go for a Smite Steal? It's a real question. Jesus Juice is not in time, as a Super Mega Death Rocket does not land either. And now the fight is on. Mr. Geeky is going to be maybe the first of all. Does finally go down to the Yone. Frost about to get pincered from every which way direction. I don't know if he can maybe grab a kill in the process. No, just way tanky is Batman, and Frost able to do a little bit of rebuttal, do as many smoothing as possible, but Frost is not long for his one. Actually picks up a kill on Batman. That's absolutely huge. 1v4, somehow makes something out of nothing, but a kill going with the Smolder's not a good time either if you're Jolly Rogers.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it once, I've said it again. I mean, this Mel champion just able to be doing so much work with that passive, right? The longer these fights go, the less and less tanky you get, especially when you don't have any dedicated magic resist items there. And Batman going to be going down, meaning that this Otacon is surely going to be going down for the side of Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's.
They get something despite the fact that they lost Feast of Strength, they lost
Void?
the Drake as well, but Void is in proximity. Call the Forge God is up now, and maybe could make something happen. Does get the knockup, but it's unless you can outsmite this. Oh, it's actually taken from the Jinx. Smite was not even up. A really risky fight there, but now Jinx is excited and going to start dishing out some damage. Doesn't really have the items yet. It has a Runan, so going to be kind of a slight pea shooter in this situation, as Frost going for the heavy engage onto his Jinx, and Ion D trying to kite it out, but just not doing enough damage. I think they might look for this turret, as TES zombie form is about to fall quite soon. They have 5 members up here. They want to make something out of this after losing the Otacon. You see Batman going for the engagement board. Mr. Geeky and Jinx goes down. They pick up a turret on top of it. They get a whole ace for the cost of that Otacon.
Yeah, they managed to take the entire turret. They managed to take the entire team. And just like that, I mean, we're going to go all the way back to this dragon fight. Take a look at this one more time, right? Where it was a rough position to find yourself in, just not able to take that dragon fast enough. And just like that, Call of the Forge God not going to be what's used. Instead, it's the Encore directly into the Yone Q. As just like that, Mr. Geeky tries to stay alive. A five-man crescendo, and still it's not going to be enough as the fight continues. And all of a sudden, the Otacon still not going to be taken quickly enough. We're seeing this time and time again where Jolly Rogers Queen Ants try to make something happen, but they just don't take these objectives quickly enough to actually make the trades.
Yeah, the Ruinance decision is interesting from Ion D, right? Because you definitely need some more damage on the side. Luckily, does get the Otacon despite the fact that Jesus Juice didn't even have Smite up. So it could have been really dicey. They do end up getting completely team wiped here, but at least you get the Otacon to slow some of the scaling from the side of Monkey Safari. But it seems like a slight inevitability at this point in time, unless they pull out some crazy team fighting in these next couple minutes. But the Smolder stacking is quite a bit, stacking even onto the Scion Zombie as well, and picking up so much gold. I mean, let's take a look at that gold differential at this moment in time, too. So, nothing, yeah, about almost 3k gold lead for Monkey Safari. They got 2 Drakes to their name. They got the ornaments. They got the Feast of Strength. Things are not looking great.
Yeah, things are not looking great for the side of Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's. Monkey Safari going to be able to hold on to so much. They managed to pick up that Feats of Strength as they picked up those neutral objectives as well. And just like that, we can see the Smolder continuing to stack up, continuing to do so much work. I think Smolder actually managed to already hit the 225.
Yeah, we could do a quick stack check. Meanwhile, Frost on this Yone sneakily 4-0-4 with the Ornament upgrade, Immortal Shield Bow as well, and the upgraded boots. It's a pretty scary looking Yone, and not only that, but you have everyone else on the side of Monkey Safari to worry about, as we're at 237, I believe, on the Smolder. So, does hit that crucial breakpoint, and these team fights, if they're hard for Jolly Rogers, is about to be even harder at this moment in time as we get the gank onto the Yone, but not really able to find the space here for now. Does get rooted up, and they're going to try to do their best to kill it, but here comes the reinforcements. Mom is called, but the rebuttal is used to dish back some of that damage. Nothing too crucial at the time being, but TES TP's into the middle of the fight. Decimating Smash comes through, but Call the Forge God knocks up 3 members as Key picks up a kill on the Frost. The other Frost Yone is getting a double kill, and things are looking disastrous for Jolly Rogers, as TES is the only one being bounced back and forth on this fight, and just going to be taken out here 3-0, and this is going to be sole points for Monkey Safari. All right, let's see, as going to pick up this one. Going to be pretty easy unless Super Mega Death Rocket is able to snipe this down or not. I don't think it's going to be the case. And they're looking for Baron on top of it too. And this is going to really make this lead harder and harder to surmount. Already 6k gold lead for a team that already scales dangerously hard in this late game. 6-0-6 on the Yone, 3-1-10 on the Smolder. Ornaments dropping everywhere here. 2.5 items on the Smolder at this moment in time too. But honestly, once you have the damage you need from that 225, it's looking rough as Baron is going to be cleaned up from the Udyr, from Monkey Safari, and they're going to be setting up for maybe even one final push. Do they have what it takes is the real question. Anti's going to be back in a quick, so if you hear me rambling a lot, that's why. Just making sure that Anti has time to get back in time. But, you know, you can listen to my monologue as we are setting up for it. This has not been a great game for the other Frost, the Mel, but trying to do whatever he can in these fights. We do have 3 items completed on the Jinx. However, you're contending against 3 items from a Smolder that's fully stacked with an ornament as well and a level advantage. So yeah, we're gonna need a miracle here in this team fight to really make something happen. But we shall see how that goes. Taste going to be caught out a bit. Searing Charge is going to knock up Taste for now. There's a lot of health on this Scion, but there's just no backup in time. So you're buying space for absolutely nothing for the time being. Going to be forcing the flash out. And Unstoppable Onslaught is going to be used, but doesn't get out in time as we pick up another kill for the Smolder. And you can see Frost going to go for it. Oh, we do get a shutdown. It's going to be Mel that takes out the other Frost. So Frost for Frost in this exchange. That's going to be a lot of gold going over to this Mel. Rabadons might be completed up quite soon. They do need that damage for sure to have any chance here, as this Mel is going to be dishing out a lot of the damage in these fights. As, you know, the problem right now is Scion, as tanky as he is, just there's not enough damage to follow up in a lot of these fights here. But it looks like Monkey Safari, they're going to keep pushing their advantage for a time being. They might have lost their Yone, but they have not lost their damage.
Yeah, they haven't lost their damage. As you can see right now, the Smolder is still going to be up. The frontliner still going to be up. And most importantly, this Seraphine always going to be able to put out so many of those shields, so many of those heals, and so much of the follow-up CC on this team. So right now, it doesn't matter that the Yone's not there. It matters that this Encore charms everyone in the back line. Look at that, as in the end, with a teleport in, we don't even have a single member missing from Monkey Safari, as it's just kill after kill after kill, blow after blow after blow, and it's all coming out Monkey Safari side.
And they are on Soul Point on top of it too, as we see another ornament upgrade. Batman going to get the upgrade as well. Just a Seraphine left at this moment in time, but I don't even know if that is needed. Look at the gold differential as well. Almost a 9k gold lead for the side of Monkey Safari. And, you know, the level advantage is pretty absurd as well. Almost level 18 on this Yone. And you can see, too, they have so much map control. It is so dark on the side of Jolly Rogers. And, you know, 21-6 with the Smolder, with the Ornn. It is going to be a tough game. And I don't see a win con here.
Yeah, I don't really know right now, right? I mean, if you're JRQA, right, there's one thing that you have to do, and you have to understand is your opposing team has an Exodia composition, right? They have a team composition where as long as they're team fighting as 5, it is absolutely crucial that you do not fight them, especially with this huge of a gold lead. In the meantime, you have one member of their team continually looking for these split pushes, and that is Melee Frost, right, on that Yone. So you need to be grouping up and killing this guy on repeat. You have to group up as 5. You cannot just play the long con at this point, right? It doesn't matter that you have a Jinx. It doesn't matter that you have a Scion. It matters that you're down so much gold that you can't actually play these fights fair anymore. You have to bring the entire team and just throw the entire kitchen sink in at them. I mean, even though this Scion versus Ornn is taking 5 billion years to end, it's still going to end in Monkey Safari's favor.
That's right. Sion's going to have to back off at this moment in time, too. You see the Jock shows completed on the Ornn as well. 3 strong items, still with boots to upgrade on top of it. Things are looking pretty disastrous as moment in time. Soul's going to be spawning in any time now, and Monkey Safari is going to be in a good position to pick that up here, as Baron buff has already ended, so going to be a little bit hard to push for the time being, especially with that Mel and Jinx. They have great wave clear. Oh, Pantheon does get rooted up here, and it looks like going to be another kill going over to Monkey Safari unless Jesus Juice can't get out of it. And looks like, no, that's not going to be the case. Key is unstoppable. Mambo being called, but it is going to be rebuttal. It's going to be reflected back. The Encore did not connect. However, Call of Forge God does connect, and here comes the Golden Clips. No one goes down to it yet. Super Mega Death Rocket somehow misses everyone in this crazy fight, but they have the advantage. They really need a Jinx reset. Jinx getting excited here if possible. Doesn't quite get it. So despite 2 members going down for Jolly Rogers, they still have a little bit of fight in them, and they actually managed to bring the health bars of Monkey Safari quite low. But those health bars are not going down any faster if they pick up the Soul, and there is no Jinx Super Mega Death Rocket at this moment in time. So this is going to be Soul for them for sure. Things are just looking tougher and tougher.
Yeah, Soul, and it's not just any Soul, it's Chemtech Soul, one of the souls that you most dread having on the enemy team when they've got a solo enchanter like the Seraphine, right? A champion that can output shields towards the entirety of the team, a champion that's entire job is keep your teammates alive, and especially as that Moonstone gets closer and closer to completion, this Seraphine is able to do so much work in these fights. I mean, we saw in that last fight, the Golden Eclipse was activated. Frost thought that he had an opportunity. Frost thought that he had an option to go for the kill, to go for that massive team-wide damage. A double W coming in from Seraphine means that there's really just no actual damage coming on through. And in the end, all of those stacks go to nothing. All of that preparation goes to nothing. All of this scaling's going to nothing as the Baron's going to go down to Jolly Rogers. Queen Anne's a beautiful steal coming in from Jesus Juice. But can you turn water into wine?
We get the shutdown onto the Seraphine as well. Two gets completely bursting down from this Mel with a Rabadon Stew. 3.5 items complete for this Mel. That's the damage you need. 1 for 1 though, and a huge save from Jesus Juice to potentially keep his team in this game just a little bit longer, as these Baron buff minions is going to make this push a little bit harder. And you got the wave clear from the Mel, from the Jinx, so it is not going to be game over just quite yet. You'd love to see the fight Jolly Rogers has in this, and honestly, if they pick up one really strong team fight, they could end the game right there with how long these respawn timers are. And Seraphine, you know, unfortunately checking the bush blind there and just gets comboed from the Mel. But, you know, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those moments, though, right, where you can't really call that a game-winning play, but a game-saving play, right? Jesus Juice able to get right into that Baron pit right at the perfect time. The Grand Starfall perfectly timed to make sure that Pantheon's in that Baron pit when the opportunity strikes, going to be able to get it right in the end. Let's take a look at this one more time, right? So this Baron going down it very, very quickly. I mean, the Smolder does so much damage, this Yone does so much damage, and Melee Frost tries to make sure that there's no opportunity for a steal, but we're not even going to see the Baron again. We're seeing another fight.
A huge fight here as the Encore does charm up 2 members here. Golden Eclipse is used. We get a shutdown key. That's absolutely huge. Ion has been excited on this. Jinx has 3 kills already. Multiple shutdowns going over to Ion. Ion picks up a quadra kill. Does Ion get the penta? It is seemingly inevitable at this point, as the zap is going to connect. You can see Mr. Geeky trying to be a homie, trying to give it to Jinx, but Jinx is slowed down quite a bit here. And I think Mr. Geeky just going to secure it. Take away the penta potential, but that's an ace for Jolly Rogers. How is this even possible? They don't have soul. They're behind on levels. They're behind on items. But at this moment in time, the gold swing is going to be pretty big, as IND picked up 4 of those kills, 2 or 3 shutdowns at least here. And none of the skills even reflected from Frost. I thought maybe Frost was able to rebuttal some of those, and a huge base shield as well.
Yeah, but no, the rebuttal was saved for the Encore, and it's a 5-man Encore coming in from Frost. The Golden Eclipse doesn't actually manage to go off, but in the end, Ion D able to stay alive, able to kite backwards again and again and again, able to pick up all of these kills. The quadra kill coming in for the Jinx, and unfortunately for Ion D, not going to be able to pick up that penta. I mean, the double E coming in from Macmiddens guaranteeing that the Jinx doesn't actually have the ability to catch up. But in the end, it is going to be a huge turning point for the side of Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's. I would call it far from a winning position, but at the very least, you've evened up the gold graph.
Yeah, what great patience from Frost on that Mel as well, right? So many projectiles
Mm-hmm.
being thrown and saying, you know what, our win con is rebuttaling the encore, and that's exactly what happened. And look at this Jinx full build as well, all items there. You got the Bloodthirster on top of it,
You
and
got the
you know
elixir.
yeah, you got the elixir as well, and it's the Runans too, right? Was really crucial when you got that encore reflected, doing so much damage with that Jinx. And once one was down, Jinx was excited and just was able to heal back up and dish out the damage. Key getting picked off here, but Key's not looking to get picked off again that quickly, as Guardian Angel is going to be bought on the Smolder, full build for the Smolder as well. Surprisingly, Frost on this Yone isn't full build either, despite being so far ahead this entire game, but maybe looking to close that out, as picks up a Guardian Angel for himself too. So yes, it was hard to take him down in that fight. It's going to be a little bit harder, but hey, we saw it once. Maybe it can happen again.
Yeah, and one thing to remind you about that last fight is that Ion D wasn't full build in that fight. Frost didn't actually get the Golden Eclipse to fire off. All of that was because of the Encore getting rebutted, and all of this AoE CC going to come in handy for the side of Jolly Rogers Queen Anne's. The Baron buff going to be going down and going to fade away, but in the end, the big question is, are we going to be seeing one of those huge team fights again? Are we going to be seeing another one of those 5-man encores? I mean, Mac Minnens might not have the ability to use these super strong team-wide spells if they're just going to get reflected back into his own team.
Hey, looks like there might be a potential fight here, as Vision is there, and Void gets rooted up for a time being. There's a lot of poke damage, though, from the side of Monkey Safari, as TES is going to be called out. If you take out the tank, that's going to be a lot of space that's going to be gone, as Fate Seal is going to catch up TES. However, Frost is in trouble, as the rebuttal is going to set off the Guardian Angel. No one has completely died at this moment in time, but Void is charging forward. Searing Charge does pick up 2, and things are not looking good for Jolly Rogers, as the Smolder picks up a kill on the TES as well. 2 members going down. The Jinx is dead. That's so much of their damage. They fought so hard, so valiantly throughout this game, but the gold differential and all the other benefits look to be insurmountable at this moment in time. Just Jesus Juice still alive to defend, but still 4 members up, and the Smolder, importantly, is up as well, dishing out all this damage. I don't think Jesus Juice has what it takes at this moment in time. They put up a great fight. They tried their best, but it is 31-13. This is Monkey Safari, the undefeated team of the split, for a reason, as they're going to head into playoffs on an undefeated streak as well as the #1 seed.
Yeah, 7-0, insurmountable, absolutely divine. And in the end, Monkey Safari gonna be able to take it all in game number 2. A clean 2-0, always playing towards their win conditions, always playing with that ability to play for the lead in the end. And I gotta say, Caleb, that was just beautiful play coming in from Monkey Safari, beginning to end. Each and every one of those team fights was just a matter of being in the right position at the right time, knowing exactly what it is that you needed to play for. He able to do so much damage on this Smolder. I mean, this time at the very least, you know, Range Frost was able to match that damage with that Mel, but no matter how much time comes in, it's Smolder, right? I mean, Smolder at the very end will just do so much more damage than your team can ever even imagine of dealing with all of that true damage, with all of that damage. And most importantly, Mac Midden's Seraphine with those encores was pivotal, absolutely pivotal for all of these fights, able to land beautiful encores. I mean, we saw one encore get turned around, and we saw immediately how powerful that spell is in the right hands.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Frost on the side of Jolly Rogers did everything they could, right, to keep the team in the fight, and that one rebuttal gave everyone a bit of hope, right? Almost getting a Penta onto Ion D's Jinx as well,
just
and But sometimes that's kind of the worst feeling when you get the penta and still lose the game. But almost turned the tides. However, the leads were just way too big. The ornaments, the soul, and of course the ever stacking smolder just made things really, really tough. But a well played
Yeah.
series from both teams, and maybe one we see a rematch in the playoffs.
I'd love to see a rematch in the playoffs. I mean, also huge shout outs to Jesus Juice for that Baron seal at the very end. I mean, it looked
Hmm.
like it was all over after that, until that Baron seal came on through. Jesus Juice says, "All right, we need a miracle. I'll go ahead and bring us one," but unfortunately could not bring the series back from the brink of death. And it's all going to be going over to Monkey Safari 7-0. Beautiful regular season play. But make sure to tune in to the rest of the week of Titan Esports broadcast, as we're going to be having more bangers on bangers in order to match that last season, that last regular season match that we had today. Either
All
way,
right.
it's been a wonderful time. Y'all take care. I've been Anti, and I've been joined by the wonderful Caleb Pang.
You do like you do like crazy, oh, crazy, oh, crazy, oh.